Some background info on our suspect. This was actually taken, I think it was the day after the murders.
Him with like this?
This like selfie with the thumbs up. Yup. Yup.
Disgusting.
With this like little smirk on his face. Yeah. So, in August 2022, Brian is a 21-year-old graduate student in criminology working as a TA. So he was also teaching undergrads, which often is the deal you get when you're in graduate school. You get like money off tuition, sometimes like living accommodations if you are also a TA and like teach students. Mm-hmm. Brian was respected as a TA because of how smart he was and where he was at in his educational career. He grew up in the Poconos in Pennsylvania. I just think of It's Always Sunny every time I think of
Yeah. I love It's Always Sunny. I love it.
It is such a good show. I actually want to get caught up. They're still airing.
It's still going on. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree.
So Brian's mother was a teacher for special needs and his dad was a mechanic, and he had a very normal upbringing as far as we know, family structure wise. His parents were really supportive and loved him. However, there has been a lot of reporting that he was bullied in high school. He was overweight in high school and suffered from a condition called visual snow. Have you ever heard of that?
Is it just like seeing like, stuff in your vision?
Yeah, it's what you would think it is. Yeah, it's just like seeing tiny black and white spots moving very quickly in your vision field. It almost looks like static on like an old TV, like The Ring static from the movie The Ring. That's a movie for people who aren't millennials.
Right. Or who have not done acid.
Have you watched The Ring while doing acid?
No, I'm just saying like, sometimes, okay, someone who isn't me they have seen that after the fact as like a residual effect. Even years after, it's just like sometimes you'll like randomly see it, and you're like, whoa, is this
so you like see static after doing acid?
Right.
I thought that things were connected, and I was like, I don't think that's a good acid pastime.
No, it's not. It's actually terrifying. It's not a good thing.
Sober, it's a terrifying movie. It still fucks me up. If I see static on anything to this day, I'm like, we're done for.
Yeah.
Samara is here.
This is it.
Dude, that and the Blair Witch Project, like,
oh my God.
They'll always sit with me. Okay. Visual snow also can cause something called tinnitus, which is ringing of the ears. In extreme cases, visual snow can actually make it hard for some people to participate in social activities. Some of Brian's posts from his teenage years were troubling. He was clearly troubled by his symptoms of visual snow, but he was saying things like it made him feel like all the demons in his head were mocking him.
Okay. That sounds a bit more than just visual snow.
It does, though, doesn't it? Yeah. I felt the same way about that. In other posts, he said that he has no emotion. And this is a quote. I say and do what I want with little remorse. Everyone hates me. I am an asshole. It's just like textbook. Is it sociopath or psychopath? Sociopath, I think.
I think sociopath, yeah. Textbook. Where they just like don't feel any empathy towards their fellow humans, Yeah.
I say and do what I want with little remorse. Everyone hates me. I am an asshole. Like, textbook.
Right. Yikes.
Yeah. So he starts working out. He's feeling bullied and like he doesn't fit in. So he starts working out, goes on a vegan diet. After he lost weight, people that knew him said that he changed and became more angry. He's still not fitting in. People now just think he's an anger person.
A skinny, angry person.
Right, yep.
We can delete that, but I can imagine he's like, oh, I'll lose the weight and then people will like me. And then
Right.
he's still an asshole, so people still don't like him.
I also have
Okay.
questions about steroids. If he's like working out a lot and then like getting angry all of a
Oh,
sudden. I don't know. I don't know.
for sure.
Just
Yeah.
a thought that occurred to me.
No, that's valid,
Um,
for sure.
So he's still not fitting in. After high school, he actually ends up, this was out of left field. I was not expecting this one. He ends up becoming a heroin addict after high school. At one point, he ended up stealing his sister's cell phone, and his father turned him into the police, and Brian was arrested and went to rehab, and it worked. Brian kicked his heroin problem and was able to focus on his studies. Going from heroin addict to master's and then PhD is a feat. That is like
Whoa.
some motivation and determination for sure.
Right. Yeah. I mean, wow.
I know. I like when we got to that part, I was like, wait, what?
What?
I
How?
was not expecting.
I mean,
curveball.
I guess in Idaho, is it easier? I don't
Well,
know.
Pennsylvania, I think.
Oh,
at the
Pennsylvania. Okay. Yeah, I'm not trying to
the
discount
Poconos.
anything. Yeah.
Poconos.
The Poconos.
I think that's how they say it in Sunny.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
His course of study was criminology. Interesting. So in September of 2018, Brian went to DeSales before Washington State. He became involved in the criminal justice department and was a star student. Brian worked under Catherine Ramsey, who has written books about serial killers and how to identify them. Brian, isn't that crazy?
Right. That's crazy.
I know. It's just like, was the radar going off at all?
Mm-hmm.
Brian idolized Dr. Ramsley and wanted to understand the criminal mind, how it functions, and how people break the law. After his master's, he began pursuing a PhD in criminology at Washington State. Female students complained a lot about him. One of the complaints being that he followed one of the students in his class back to her car. She was creeped out and reported this to the department heads. There was a session set up between the professor and Brian about the complaints, and Brian became erratic and combative, and the professor was shocked. 11 days before the murder, he's told by department heads that the money he earns as a TA, a teaching assistant, could be taken away if he doesn't do better. Did these events somehow trigger him carrying out the murders because the women were complaining about him? You know, like, was it an attack on women? Because it was mostly women who were attacked.
Mm-hmm.
A woman went on a date with him, and they went back to her apartment, and he was trying to, like, tickle or touch her, and she straight up asked him, like, why are you trying to touch me? And he got super serious and was like, I'm not.
It's not funny.
It's just so weird.
God. Guys like that are... I feel like we all know guys like that, right?
Right. Yeah. Honestly, actually, yeah.
Which makes it even more horrifying.
Right. Honestly, yeah. Yep. Like they have been Facebook poking you for the last 20 years. And then it's like, hey, what are you doing that for? And they're like, doing what?
It's like, I don't know, poking me?
Right. Like, what is the point of that? I'm
Right.
not stupid.
God.
So she wanted to get away from him. So she said that she's going to run to the bathroom real quick. And then he followed her to the bathroom, which she found to be weird. So she acted like she was throwing up to get him to leave. He did leave.
Good.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, like, literally, I will throw my tampon at you. I will make myself vomit all over you. Whatever it is to get you away from me, you sick fucking freak.
Yeah, dude. Yep. Yeah. So he leaves, and then he texts her and says, "Thanks for the date. I had a wonderful time, and you have great birthing hips."
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Disgusting.
Clearly, right. And like socially challenged, like critically socially challenged.
Oh
like
my
what?
God.
Yeah. So disrespectful. And weird. Odd. So yeah. Some of the servers at the brewery that he frequented said that he would make them feel creeped out, and he would make creepy comments and would ask them where they live and stuff. An employee actually said that he'd get really annoyed if a woman wasn't interested in him, and he even called one of the servers a bitch one time.
Okay, so an incel. Okay,
I was going to say, in summary, yes, incel. It definitely gave incel.
He can't get laid, so he's so pissed.
Even after he lost weight and like went on a vegan diet, he still can't get laid, even when he's telling women they have great birthing hips. How does that not work? He's like, I followed you to the bathroom. What?
And you have great birthing hips, so you don't want to procreate with me? Like, what? Dude.
Yeah. So he was consistently rejected by women and also had like a high self-worth. So that's kind of like a dangerous little mixture, unfortunately. When the murders first happened, Washington State continued like normal, unlike the University of Idaho, even though it was only 10 minutes away. So they, continued classes and weren't like, hey, you can be remote if you'd like. Pre-murders, Brian would always have his hair done nicely, and he was well-shaven and appeared to care about his appearance. After the murders, before the Christmas break, there was definitely less time put into his appearance. So it's maybe a little stressed, potentially.
Could be.
A decision was made that he would not be brought back on as a teaching assistant the next semester, and staff decided they'd send him an email over Christmas holidays about that. On the 2022 Christmas break for the university, Brian and his dad drive from Washington. Brian's dad actually flies up to Washington, and then they drive to Pennsylvania back together. On October 14th, 2022, Moscow police learned that Brian had been pulled over a couple times for routine traffic stops in the months leading up to the murders. And during one of those stops, he actually gave his cell phone number to officers, I'm assuming on like a form or something. But this meant that the cops now have his phone number. So naturally, they search Brian's phone records. The night of the murders, Brian's phone was initially at his apartment, which is about a 10-minute drive from Moscow. They had video evidence that a white Elantra left his apartment complex at 2:14 a.m. Then the cell phone goes dark and is no longer communicating with towers. 2 hours later, his cell phone reconnects to cell towers, heads south of Moscow, continues heading west, and then back to his house at 5:30 a.m. Officers couldn't prove he was at the house because the phone had been turned off and it wasn't connecting with towers, but it's definitely some circumstantial evidence. While searching his phone records history, it was also found that his phone pinged near King Road prior to the murders. I saw some sources say that it was 12 times and some said 23 times, but either way, he had been in the vicinity of King Road multiple times prior to the murders. The defense says Brian was stargazing the night of the murders at a wilderness park about 20 miles southwest of Washington University, and he was there at 4 a.m. staring at the stars, conveniently with no witnesses around, on a cloudy night.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Wind it up. The kind of brilliant thing about this from the defense's perspective is that if he was stargazing in that area, he would be in a cell phone dead zone and his phone wouldn't be connecting to any towers. I have a question, though. If it is southwest of Washington State University. When his phone comes back on, he heads south of Moscow and then west to his house. So from Moscow, he's heading south and then west to his house. If that was southwest of his house, he would have to head north and then east to his house, right? To get back home.
Right. Yeah, I would think so. It's just like
north and then west to his home.
Like, why not just leave your phone at your house?
That too, especially if you're a criminology major. Like, that's did
like
you
even with like
GPS?
these USF things, like, why not just I'm sorry,
because
just
there
like
is phone
leave
record
the phone
data in that
right.
case as well, where he was like, where the bodies
right, and he's like, oh no, because they were like, oh no, I haven't seen him, and they were like, well, we've seen your car in the same vicinity as the cell phone. And then he was like, oh yeah, I forgot, he asked me to drive him and his girlfriend out to Clearwater. And it's like, dude, just like, I don't know, just why not just say the cell phone is just at the house? It just doesn't make any sense. I don't know.
That does blow my mind. Yeah.
I'm not trying to like plan a murder.
We're glad that they're stupid and
so
leaving this evidence behind.
But for someone who has a PhD, or a master's,
right, working on a
PhD, you would, I don't know, why doesn't he? But that's
crazy to me. And it does seem like maybe he turned his phone off at some point. Maybe he was trying to lock in an alibi. I don't know. Because the alibi doesn't, I don't know. They only had to come up with the alibi because the phone wasn't at the house. So.
Right. But God. Men.
Yeah. Maybe because he knew there was a camera that would have seen his car leaving. I don't know. Crazy. I wonder what that thought process was as well.
Maybe there was none. I don't know.
Yeah. The next morning after the murders, Brian Koberger's phone records show that he actually returned to the vicinity of King Road, and his phone pinged again near the house. And I believe that was around like 9:30 or 10 in the morning.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah. And that's before the cops were even called.
Right.
Something that is strange about this is that there was absolutely no connection between Brian and any of the girls on social media or Ethan. If he wasn't involved with any of them on social media, how would he know about the girls or where they live? Like, I don't know. It doesn't feel random because his house, like his car had been around them, but it's like, how did his car had been around their house? But it's like,
right. Wasn't there something, I don't know if you're going to mention this, but it's like one of the girls worked at like a bagel shop.
That is my next comment, yeah.
Okay, sorry.
So, no, you're good. I like that your mind is going there. So one of the theories is that maybe he frequented the restaurant that Maddie and Xana were servers at called the Mad Greek, which did have some kind of vegan menu. Usually Greek food, there is like some vegan options like falafel. So the speculation may be that he met Maddie or Xana at that restaurant. And remember how weird he was with servers. So maybe there was something where he either like attached to them for whatever reason, or like they had rejected him. The knife sheath was tested for DNA, and there was touch DNA on the sheath's, the button of the knife sheath. A partial bit of touch DNA is just a partial bit of a skin cell, so it sometimes can be considered circumstantial evidence because it can literally happen if you like hug someone and then that person like pats you on the back and then touches like it's a tiny bit of a skin cell that can very easily be moved around without totally saying that that person had to be at the scene. It's not like there's snot or saliva or hair. Touch DNA has led to false incarcerations in the past. The DNA was ran through Codex, which is the convicted offenders database from each state, and there were no hits through Codex. This sheet then went to Quantico for genealogy testing, and that's like the FBI facility. The FBI begins to build out a family tree, which leads them to Brian Kohberger's great-great-grandparents.
Wow.
And the thing with genealogy DNA is it just matches you to a group of people, but it doesn't give you like a specific person. You have to have someone give you DNA to conclusively say, okay, it is in that. Like, if you have a suspect, you can, and they're arrested, you can get their DNA and then like match it to the DNA that was on the knife sheath, and be able to conclusively say then, okay, it is that DNA. At this point, Brian's at his parents' house because it's over the Christmas break, and Idaho police reach out to Pennsylvania State Police, who begin to survey the Kohberger's house. On December 17th, 2022, investigators see Brian wearing gloves, taking his trash out, and putting it in the neighbor's receptacle.
Okay, Brian.
That's not suspicious. Not suspicious.
A little suspicious. Yeah.
December 27th, 2022, they get some of his trash and send it to the lab. It was actually a Q-tip in the trash. The evidence is analyzed, and it ends up being the father of the person's DNA from the knife sheath.
Interesting.
I bet investigators were feeling the same way.
Right.
While waiting on and I remember when this was coming out too on social media, it was like, he's in Pennsylvania? What? Like, did this guy travel all the way and like didn't know and just randomly like murdered all these students? And it was like, we didn't know at the time he was from Washington State and just like in Pennsylvania. It was a whole thing. So while waiting on the DNA to be processed, police are allowed one last time into the home on 1122 King Road as it's scheduled to be demolished. The college felt like the home was a terrible reminder of what had happened to the community, and they just wanted it gone. Which is understandable.
Which, it's just, I get it. I feel like it should have been left up for a bit longer and just kept sequestered or something.
For the investigation, yeah.
For the investigation, yeah, because there's, God, it just...
You don't... Yeah, you don't know if like they could think of something and like still want to go in there and check for it. And even if you go to trial too, it's nice to be able to walk the jury through the home. Sometimes that's done as part of the trial. So yeah, it was pretty crazy how quick they were like, no. But I think it was like the college president, I think, that decided to do it, and they had, other motives, I think, than I think they wanted like
solving the crime, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
It just
seems like they're more worried about enrollment than getting the
that
answers.
sucks.
That's just my own opinion, but because like
right. I wonder how the families feel about that.
I also had wondered that. Yeah, I'm sure they're like, fuck that house, but they probably wanted it up at least until after the trial.
That's the only evidence that you guys have.
Right. Yeah. It was a strange decision.
Yeah, strange for sure.
After the DNA results came back showing that this was the father of the person's DNA, this DNA was the father of the person's DNA, whose DNA was on the knife sheath, this gave police enough evidence to create an arrest warrant and to make an arrest, which they did on December 30th, 2022 in Albrightsburg, Pennsylvania. When police come into the home in Albrightsburg or Ville? Ooh, I have both written down. When police come into the home in Pennsylvania to make the arrest at 1:30 in the morning, Brian is wearing a t-shirt and shorts in the kitchen, and surgical gloves, and he's taking his personal trash out of the family's trash and putting it in individual Ziploc bags.
Okay.
Just what an innocent person would be doing.
Right.
Yeah. I can't. Can you imagine, like, the police officer's face is, like, walking in on that? Like,
it's like, bro, can you please be so for real right now?
Right. Oh my gosh. The defense claimed that Brian has always had compulsive behaviors about cleanliness ever since he was a kid, and that this was just one of them. Police get a warrant to take a cheek swab, which ends up matching the DNA on the knife sheath. Brian's parents' house is searched, and knives, guns, dark clothing, and masks are collected as evidence. Brian's devices were confiscated, and forensic analysis was performed. There were huge gaps of usage in his computer browser, and it showed that the browser was in use, but the history had been removed. He did, however, forget to clear his downloads on his phone, and there was lots of evidence of him looking into the murders on Reddit and even downloading the press releases, which is very strange if you're not involved. I don't have any, as a true crime podcast host, I don't think I have any murder press releases downloaded onto my phone.
Not saved, no. Yeah.
Not downloaded. Right. Like, I just see them, I take my notes, and I move on. Like,
right.
Why would you want to download it?
Strange.
Mm-hmm. There was no DNA or blood in his car, apartment, or his parents' house connecting Brian to the victims. The summary of the reasons of his potential guilt is that his vehicle was near the house, his cell phone pinged near the house and, like, leading up to that night, and he matched the physical description that of the person Dylan had seen in their home. His DNA was on the knife sheath, but it was touch DNA. And on Amazon, too, there was an order of him purchasing a K-bar knife. Points of reasonable doubt include the touch DNA. It could have happened elsewhere. Police tunnel vision on into Brian. So, like, once they're doing the genealogy testing, like, are they trying to look for people related specifically to Brian? Mm-hmm. Reports of DNA from other individuals in the home as well. Like, there was DNA on a handrail and someone else's DNA on a glove outside. But again, this was a party house.
Right.
So there's going to be a trial. He's charged. There's going to be a trial. Death penalty is on the line for Brian, which could actually be carried out. And this is so wild because I finished this research 2 weeks ago because I thought that it was my night to record, and it wasn't, or my night to do the story, and it wasn't. But since then, this topic has gotten big in the news because the federal government just made a ruling, or they're, like, talking about making a ruling or change on this. But at the time in the state of Idaho, the death penalty was on the line for Brian, and it was potentially going to be carried out by a firing squad.
Whoa. Wow.
Because, that's pretty intense. At the time, Idaho was actually out of the drug needed for lethal injections. Of course, I went into a rabbit hole with this because I'm like, what do you mean?
Interesting. Yeah.
Right. There was a shortage of the drug needed the shortage, I guess, was prompted by pharmaceutical companies refusing to sell the drug to states if the drug was going to be used in executions. So the drug shortage continued, and in 2023, the governor of Idaho signed a bill that allows for death by firing squad to be the method used for capital punishment when the drugs needed for lethal injections cannot be obtained. So then it goes on.
Okay.
In 2024, there actually was a failed lethal injection attempt after an hour of attempting to establish an IV line. And they ended up, like, calling it and saying, like, we're not going to do this anymore after an hour of attempting it. and the guy ended up not being executed. So that didn't work out so well. So in 2025, the Idaho governor signed a bill that the death penalty will be carried out via firing squad as the primary method, and this goes into effect in 2026. So anyways, little interesting tidbit on Idaho. And now, so in the last week since I've completed these notes, the federal government is like talking about, and I don't know the specifics, but they're talking about firing squad being the primary. I saw on Aaron Parnas, and they were saying because it's, I know, because it's so hard to access the drugs for lethal injection.
That's wild.
Yeah, he might, so he might get shot.
Okay, well.
Legally. So the trial
won't be sad.
Yeah, nary a sympathy. The trial is set for August 2025 in Boise, Idaho. And then the case was moved from Boise, Idaho to Ada County in Idaho because of all the media coverage, and they thought it wouldn't be a fair trial. In July 2nd of 2025, right before the trial is about to start, Brian ends up pleading guilty. His lawyers had fought tooth and nail to try to get the death penalty off the table, but they couldn't. So he pled guilty, took a plea deal, and was able to get the death penalty removed. Kaylee Gonsalves's parents were very upset with the plea deal and disappointed in the state of Idaho. They said that if it had gotten to some kind of negotiations, they would have at least, before doing the plea deal, pushed him more for having to say if he was alone or not, and him providing the weapon, and just like giving more details on like what actually happened. Xana's parents were also very upset. Koberger ended up being sentenced to 4 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole, and a 10-year sentence for burglary. So, final thoughts. Even if we can speculate about the motivations, we're truly never going to know why he did this to these students unless he comes out with an interview at some point or says why he did it. Was it like because of his incel tendencies and the complaints from like female undergrad students that it ended up kind of being a femicide and like a crime against women in general? It's hard to tell. Was it completely random? Like, had he just like maybe seen one of the girls outside of a bar, or, you know, met them at the Mad Greek, or it's just like, what, why, how did it happen? To like, was he hiding in Maddie's room already? Did Maddie go up before? I mean, Maddie obviously was upstairs before Kaylee. Was he like in her room already, or did he come in through the sliding glass door when she was up by herself? Was Kaylee downstairs with Bethany? And then like he came in the sliding glass door, went up to Maddie's room. At some point, Kaylee walks up there. Was Xana and Ethan already attacked at this point? Probably not, because Dylan hears Kaylee going up around 4 a.m. and then Xana was commenting on TikTok at 4:12. So when she hears Kaylee and this guy saying, "You're going to be okay, I'm going to help you," was that before Xana and Dylan were murdered? And did she hear nothing from that? You know, were they sleeping? Well, they couldn't have been sleeping. Xana was awake on TikTok. I have a lot of questions about how it happened.
Yeah, it's one of those things that we're always, I feel, going to be questioning what happened. And
right, that's another such a strange thing. Like Bethany, I kind of understand because she was on the bottom floor, but when he saw Dylan, why not? Was he too tired? Was he starting to freak out? And Xana put up quite a fight, so maybe he was like kind of exhausted after that, and like just felt like he couldn't take another person on. Or at least the victims were able, as part of the court proceedings, to give their victim statements, and I do recommend listening to some of them. I really loved Kaylee's sister's statement. She was just like totally belittling him and telling him what a loser he is, pretty much. And I bet that was cathartic in some way for them. And I'm just really glad that they were still able to get that moment.
Yeah.
And as they're saying their victim statements, he literally just sits there staring at them with no emotion.
Needing this much attention just to feel real. You're terrified of being ordinary, aren't you? Do you feel anything at all? Or are you exactly what you always feared? Nothing. If you're so powerful, then why are you still hiding, defendant? You see, I'm here today as me. But who are you? Let's try to take off your mask and see. You didn't create devastation. You revealed it in yourself. And that darkness you carry, that emptiness, you'll sit with it long after this is over. That is your sentence. And it was written on the wall long before you ever pled guilty. You didn't win. You just exposed yourself as the coward you are. You're a delusional, pathetic, hypochondriac loser who thought you were so much smarter than everybody else. Constantly scolding, turning your nose up to grammar mistakes, nitpicking and criticizing others. You wanted so badly to be different, to be special, to be better, to be deep, to be mysterious. You found yourself thinking you were better than everyone else, and you thought you could figure out the human psyche and see through it, all while tweaked out on heroin. Lurking in the shadows made you feel powerful because no one ever paid you any attention in the light. You thought you were exceptional, all because of a grade on a paper. You thought you were elite because your online IQ test from 2010 told you so. All of that effort just to seem important. It's desperate. There is a name for your condition, though. Your inflated ego just didn't allow you to see it. Wannabe. You act like no one could ever understand your mind, but the truth is you're basic. You're a textbook case of insecurity disguised as control. Your patterns are predictable. Your motives are shallow. You are not profound. You're pathetic. You aren't special or deep. Not mysterious or exceptional. Don't ever get it twisted again. No one is scared of you today. No one is intimidated by you. No one is impressed by you. No one thinks that you are important. You orchestrated this like you thought you were God. Now look at you, begging a courtroom for scraps. You spent months preparing, and still all it took was my sister in a sheath. You work so hard to seem dangerous, but real control doesn't have to prove itself. The truth is, the scariest part about you is how painfully average you turned out to be. The truth is, you're as dumb as they come. Stupid, clumsy, slow, sloppy, weak, dirty. Let me be very clear. Don't ever try to convince yourself you mattered just because someone finally said your name out loud. I see through you. You want the truth? Here's the one you'll hate the most. If you hadn't attacked them in their sleep, in the middle of the night, like a pedophile, Kaylee would have kicked your fucking ass. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Oh my goodness. Props to her for getting that out. I'm sure that was so hard though. Like
I know. And like she sounded so like composed through it too.
wow. That's so powerful, so amazing.
So well worded. But anyways, yeah, I'm sure that had to feel super cathartic. And I'm just so glad that they still got that moment, because I know sometimes when a plea deal is taken, because there's no trial, victims don't get to have victim statements. So I'm glad she got to tell him how much of a fucking loser he is.
No, they should play that in his cell like every single day, like over and over and over and over and over. I think that would be good.
I think she should also maybe be an author because that it's very well written.
Yes. Yes.
So.
I agree. I agree.
But that's it. That's it for the case of the Idaho 4. I really wanted to do this one because obviously this was before we started Crimenelia Street. I don't even think Crimenelia Street, no, it wasn't even in our thoughts yet.
Yep. But it was not a nary in our brain. Yep.
Yep. We were just some true crime girlies following along. And I remember when the trial happened and like the guilty plea and stuff, it happened not that long ago. That was what, December, or was it 2025?
Or maybe 2024.
2025, yeah.
Oh, okay.
It was July 2025.
Okay.
When he pled guilty, but yeah, so that was pretty recent, and I remember I was so busy when it was happening. I wanted to like follow along, and I wasn't able to, and I was like, man, I want to follow up and just see like whatever. I knew he got convicted, but I wasn't sure the details of it. So I was like, if I'm gonna do a deep dive, I may as well take some notes and
just go all
turn
in.
it into an episode. Yeah.
For sure. For sure. Yeah. I remember when this was all happening. I think it was just so crazy. Because we were seeing it unfold over TikTok and all of that, and we were talking about it in the group chat and all of that, and we can, yes, we can. I will say, so my one of my dear friends, Jordan, we hung out with her the other day, and she said, "I have something for you, Sam."
Oh, what is that?
It is Life of a Showgirl. It says includes signed photo. So I thought I could open it and we could see. I don't know
you
if
got
you
one
have
of the
CD.
autograph ones. That's awesome.
I think so. So I'm going to open it. Shout out to Jordan. It's like, do I open it? Yeah, I'm going to open it. And then, do we still have some trivia?
We do.
Well? Okay. Woo!
Here we go.
All right. Plastic wrap is off.
Have you heard too about like the whole lawsuit over the Life of a Showgirl?
Yes, with Confessions of a Showgirl, right?
Yeah. So I think that's something's supposed to happen this week with it, or like this month.
Right. Which I'm just like, I just feel like the person who's doing it, come on, man.
I heard that she was actually using like some of Taylor's music to like promote her stuff too. So it's just like, I don't know, the Confessions of a Showgirl sounds so different than the Life of a Showgirl to me that I'm surprised that is something that can even like have standing. But I do agree that like the look of the logo with like the font and like the kind of scrapbooky feel is similar to the like Life of a Showgirl kind of scrapbook bit. So like that part is similar, but everything else, it's like, what? I don't know.
Right. And I wonder how much of that is like what Taylor has done herself versus what her team has done.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I know she has a lot of creative control over her stuff, but did she know that I've never heard of Confessions of a Showgirl. I've never heard of this person before her. So,
right.
I mean, that's not shade. That's just honesty.
Right. Yeah.
I still don't know her name or who she is.
It might be on Taylor's people, though, to have heard of her. You know what I mean? Like, in the process, like, maybe they should have heard about it. But, again, if I see Confessions of a Showgirl and the Life of a Showgirl, I'm not, like,
I'm not like,
those
oh,
are the
she's
same
copying the
those are the same. Right.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Very strange.
Right. It is very strange.
Let's see it. Are we going to see the
Okay.
autograph?
Let's see.
Yes.
That is so cool.
Dude.
It definitely looks like real. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm so glad she got that because I tried to get that for you like 4 times.
Oh my gosh. Really?
It's so pretty. I did. And I was like even texting with Show one time about it. I was like fighting for my life in the line. And I'm like, and my computer glitched out on me as I was putting my credit card information in. And then when I refreshed it, they were sold out. And then it went on sale like 2 other times. And like I just couldn't get it in line quick enough. Ah! That's so cool.
Yeah, I'm so stoked. It's so sweet because she's like, I blacked out and bought 3 of them.
Amazing. I love that.
Yeah, so that is so dope. Like,
That's awesome.
I'm really excited. So that's so sweet. So
Yes.
thank you, Jordan, if you're listening. I really
Shout out,
appreciate
Jordan.
it. Thank you. Because I love this album. Definitely one of my favorite eras, I would say.
I agree.
Yeah, I feel like I'm like at Midnight's 1989, Tortured Poets, well, Showgirl, Girly. Those are like my eras.
Mm-hmm.
With
Yeah,
a
I've been
little
big.
bit of Fearless.
Okay. I've been big TTPD
yeah.
and Showgirl lately. Those are like really the only
Dude.
eras that exist for me at this moment in time.
TTPD is so good.
That's so freaking good, dude.
It's so good. Oh my goodness.
Okay, we have a little did you know?
Okay.
Did you know that Red's lead single, We Are Never Ever Getting Back Together, was written by Taylor Swift, Max Martin, and Shellback?
Oh. Which they did this album as well.
Showgirl, too. Yep.
Mhm.
Now you know.
Now we know.
Okay, quiz. Here we go. Oh, this one, you're definitely going to get this. It's quiz complete the lyric. These are so easy. I'm trying to like find a harder one. I stay out too late, got nothing in my blank. And it's multiple choice. Do you want to just answer before the multiple choice? Well, they're funny.
No. Yeah, give it to me.
A, refrigerator. B, wallet. C, brain. D, closet.
I would love to say wallet, but I know it's the brain.
I'm not even going to check this one.
Right.
Fun. Okay, those are our Swiftie things for tonight. What was the, there was a theory I wanted to, about the emo-ness of it all.
Yes.
So, there was a time back during, before Lover came out, where Taylor, like, mentioned Panic at the Disco in something. It was something in print, I think, about how, like, she loved them so much, or it was an artist that she listened to a lot. And now she's doing that and this with the emo music. And she's, I guess, right. And I guess everyone that she mentioned, she's already collaborated on one level or another, except for Dashboard Confessional.
Hands down. Hands down.
So
I will literally die.
And people have been wanting a rock album since Bleachella. Since the Bleachella era, when she had I guess I'm just giving a little bit of context for people who don't know what Bleachella is, but it was when she had a bob that was bleach blonde.
At the Met Gala. Yep.
Yes, and there was this performance of, was it Out of the Woods? No, what was it? Out of the Woods? No. What was the Rocky performance?
Oh, well, there was that little bit of
We are never
So-
getting back together.
Yes, we are never getting. She did do that, but I think that was at the 1989 tour. But that was
that's not
before Bleachella. But that rendition
I
she
think
does
I did
of
get those two confused.
yeah, but when she does that though, when she sings, dude, it gives me goosebumps every time, dude. I almost like tear up every time.
Yeah, I for some reason I was confusing that with Bleachella, but anyways, people have been crying for a rock album for a long time, so they're like, is TS13 gonna be that? So I don't know. There's lots of rumors going around about we're entering TS13 era. I don't think so. I think we just got TS12. I think if anything, we're gonna get a re-record and a half, or a re-record and two of them maybe.
Maybe.
She said two. She said two a bunch in the interview. She said six
And some
a lot,
sixes. Yeah.
and two a lot, and 1 5, which we've already talked about. The 5, 6 minus 1 is 5.
Right. And
So it's an exciting time to be a Swiftie again. So just
yeah, she keeps on feeding us.
She does. Every time we're like, I'm feeling a little not parched,
Yeah.
a little, what is it when you're hungry? No,
Starved.
like
Famish.
peckish.
Peckish.
You're like, I'm
Peckish.
starved.
Starving. No, I am dramatic, so I will go there. But, and once again, like, we are chill fans, because, like, she did
Right.
reference, like, her fan
Can't you
base
tell?
and
We're
how
so chill.
and how we can get a little crazy. Not we, them.
The extreme ends of it.
Right.
And I was like,
I'm sorry.
As she's saying that, I'm like, oh, I'm not one of those. And then she's like, people are trying to figure out who the song is about. And I'm like, oh.
Oops. Okay. So it's like, how do we frame this? Because, yes, we have done that. Okay, yes. But not as in, like, an accusatory way. We're just wondering. We are just wondering.
We
Because,
just have curiosities.
yeah, just some curiosities. Just like how the whole thing with Elizabeth Taylor that she was talking about her lore and everything. Like, she's...
Speaking of that, did you see the Dorothy dress she wore recently?
No.
Okay. She's in a Dorothy dress. It's like gorgeous. I'll have to send you a picture. Actually, I can probably do it right now.
Okay. Oh my God, I just saw some of the text about Howard Stern. What happened?
Oh, yeah. Jack Antonoff was interviewed by Howard Stern with just like, gross Howard Stern. But he was also like trying to, he was like, so you just like met Taylor Swift when you were young, and she was smart enough to like know that like you would be a good person to make music with or something. I can't remember exactly what his words were, but it was like, it's so weird that he's like, but she was smart enough to know, like women aren't by default smart or something.
I'm also wondering why Jack Antonoff would even...
A lot of like Billy Strings did an interview with Howard Stern like recently too. I feel like people have forgotten how gross he used to be after we covered the Lorena. Yeah, after the Lorena episode, I was like, absolutely fuck that guy. And that was again like in his past, and I think a lot of like the like atrocious things he did were a long time ago. So people have kind of like moved on past it, but it's like I won't.
Doesn't change it. Yeah.
Yeah, and then he was also just trying to seem it. He was like, "Are you like upset that she didn't like that you weren't on the new album or whatever?" And Jack's like, "No, like as an artist, I totally understand like not wanting to collaborate with the same people all the time." And Jack had very good answers, but you could tell Howard Stern was trying to like pull some like antagonize and like stir the pot.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of Crimelia Street. You can follow us on TikTok at Crimelia ST Podcast or on Instagram at Crimelia Street. You can watch our episodes at Crimelia Street Podcast, and feel free to send us any episode ideas or suggestions or feedback at crimeliast@gmail.com. Bye, clowns.
Bye, clowns.